I can confirm that, rather shockingly, President Akufo-Addo has exhibited the greatest disrespect and contempt for the people of Ghana, perhaps in the entire history of our country. You will recall that in May this year, I revealed that the president had abandoned the presidential jet, which is in great condition, in pristine condition, a presidential jet ordered by President Kufuor at the time that he served in cabinet as foreign minister. And I do not doubt that he will have made input as foreign minister on this presidential jet. He supported the purchase all the way in parliament, voted for the presidential jet. This presidential jet arrived in 2010. Since its arrival, all presidents, President Mills, President Mahama, have used the presidential jet. President Akufo-Addo refuses to use this presidential jet. And in May this year, I exposed him by putting out details of an ultra-luxurious chartered aircraft he had leased at a whopping cost of £15,000 an hour. £15,000 an hour. And at the time, when I did the very conservative estimate, he had spent in excess of 2.8 million Ghana cedis on just a single trip to France, Belgium, South Africa, and back to Accra. Now, at the time, you'll recall that I filed 2 urgent questions in Parliament. One for the Defense Minister to tell Ghanaians through Parliament the state of our presidential jet, which we bought at great cost, $37.15 million. That's the cost of the presidential jet. And this presidential jet we have is an envy of many, many countries. In Africa, it is amongst the top 5 presidential jets. Very, very coveted. It's a great piece of artificial work. Now, the defense minister came to Parliament and confirmed that yes, the presidential jet is in good condition, but he sought to make excuses why the president opted for a charter. Excuses which bordered on the ridiculous, to say the least. For the defense minister to tell us that the president cannot shower in the presidential jet, he cannot shower, he cannot freshen up. Another ridiculous excuse is that the presidential jet not big enough. Meanwhile, this presidential jet can take up to 17 people, including the crew. President Akufo-Addo goes to charter an aircraft which is only a 19-seater, maximum 19-seater. What's the difference between 17 and 19? It is clear that the president opted for this ACJ 320 Neo, the world's most expensive and most luxurious aircraft, because of luxury, because he wanted to satisfy his extreme creature comforts and newfound taste. Now, the dust is yet to settle on that expose. As you know, the finance minister was supposed to answer the second part of my question on the cost of the entire trip. After asking for more time for several weeks, he shows up after a great deal of struggle. You recall that I had to even threaten that we will file a vote of censure. We started collecting signatures and we fired a memo to the chairman of the business committee and to the speaker. That's what compelled the finance minister to then come and tell us that, look, I'm not seized with the answers, go to the national security minister. I did file a third urgent question to the national security minister. He was saved by the bell, as you recall, because Parliament then went on break a few days thereafter. That question must be answered in October next month when Parliament resumes from the recess. So one would have thought that with all the uproar, the outrage.
Just 1 point. You said there's a third question for the finance minister again?
No, for the national security minister.
National security minister.
Yes, remember that the finance minister said that he didn't have the answers, the details, which was most bizarre because you release the funds, and you are in control of the give me system. So he was clearly just passing the buck, covering up for the president. But they will not get away. We are not taking our legs off the pedal on this matter. we will go all out to make sure that, in the spirit of accountability, what is expected of parliaments. If you read the CDD report, which was put out this week, 80% of Ghanaians are saying that they want parliament to keep the executive in check, particularly because of the composition of this new parliament. They expect a strong parliament, and that is what some of us are determined to do. So the National Security Minister will have to answer that question on the full cost. So we are not even done yet, my brother. The dust has not settled on the May ACJ 320 Neo buffing in the sky debacle. Then, shockingly, in utter disrespect and blatant contempt for the Ghanaian people, President Akufo-Addo decides to charter this jet to London to attend the Global Education Summit in the UK, and uses another charter, this same aircraft, to Berlin, to Germany, last week to attend the G20 Africa Summit. Now, this aircraft, when I was investigating this matter, I noticed how great effort was made to conceal the evidence. So they opted to use another company, another aircraft leasing company, thinking that probably our sources are with the earlier company they used. So this time they didn't go to Acropolis Aviation, which they chartered the ACJ 320 Neo from. They went to a Luxembourg-based company known as the Luxembourg Global Jet. That's the company they went to lease this aircraft from. And it interests you to know that they asked the pilots to switch off the flight radar so that our apps cannot fully monitor the movement of this aircraft.
They asked the pilot to switch off the radar?
Yes, the flight radar was switched off for this particular trip. So if you have observed, the May expose, I produce the real-time monitoring from our apps that monitor the movement of the ACJ 320 Neo. This time, they asked the pilot to switch off the flight radar so that we couldn't have that real-time monitoring. But what they forget is that we have multiple sources and we have multiple ways of detecting these. So I can confirm to you, Sena, that the president went for the Boeing 737-900ER BBJ-3 aircraft. It's registered LXDIO. It's operated by Global Jet Luxembourg with manufacturer serial number 62515. Its line number is 5659. It's a 19-seater luxury VIP jet with a hex code 4D0213, and it has 2 CFMI engines. The company received this aircraft in November 2015. Now, the features of this aircraft, it will interest you to know that, once again, when the presidency contacted the Luxembourg Global Jet, it will interest you to know, Sena, that they did not go for a modest aircraft. They went for the most expensive aircraft in the Luxembourg Global Jet fleet. Because if you look at what they have advertised, you can get an aircraft for $1,500 an hour, $2,500 an hour. You can get $4,000 an hour. You can even get $5,000 an hour. But they opted for $14,000 an hour aircraft, and that is the basic price. What they told me is that if you deal directly with them, you get that discounted rate, $14,000. But if you deal with them via a broker or a middleman, you pay more, between $18,000 to $22,000 an hour, just 1 hour. And my brother, this $14,000 an hour at today's exchange rate we are talking about $14,000. In cedis, it is 84,000 Ghana cedis, not less than 84,000 Ghana cedis. Imagine what 84,000 cedis can do. It can at least give you 8 boreholes, at least, at the very least, to help with our water challenges all over in our villages. School feeding caterers who are up in arms that they haven't been paid for 7 months. Imagine what this money can do. Now, if you multiply the $14,000 by the 41 hours that we use this aircraft, you are getting $574,000. At today's exchange, that is 3.46 million Ghana cedis. 3.4 million Ghana cedis, Sena. Imagine what 3.4 million Ghana cedis can do. All these hospitals without incubators, all these bad roads, all these worker agitations. Look at how organized labor has been up in arms. UTAG is striking that their salary is not adequate. Government is not able to pay them what they deserve, and government has reneged on their agreements with them. NAGRAT has served notice, NAT has served notice, GMA has served notice. So this economy is in shambles. Look at the youth who are agitating, the Face the Country youth, that there are no opportunities, there are no amenities, they're totally disillusioned. Imagine what 3.4 million Ghana cedis can do to address all these legitimate concerns of various sections of the Ghanaian society. And yet, the president chooses to, in such intransigence, just total disregard for the people who gave him that position, who he stood before us and promised to protect the public purse. I'm not surprised that the latest CDD report, the post-election survey, is reporting that 53% of Ghanaians don't trust the president to protect the public purse. And another 62% say that the president will continue with corruption. He will not be able to help this country fight corruption in his second term. 62%, a whopping 62%. It's not surprising because of things like this, the president's own track record. And Sena, if you look at the features of this aircraft, this is an aircraft with a VIP relaxation lounge, a royal master bedroom, a cinema room. This is 6.5 hours to London. I asked myself, how many movies can the president watch? And when would the president sleep? Use the master bedroom. Just 6.5 hours. And you want a movie room, an aircraft with a movie room. You want an aircraft with a master bedroom. You want an aircraft with a relaxation joint. And then you want an aircraft with a luxury shower facility, bathrooms. When the president is working in Ghana, does he take a shower every 6 hours? Does he? To just 6.5 hours. And then when you talk, people say, do you want the president to use trotro? Do you want the president to use a boboya? That is an insult. Nobody has said that. All we are saying is that use the presidential jet. The presidential jet is comfortable. It was bought at 37.15 million Ghana cedis. Use it. There's nothing wrong with it. From my tracking, 19 July, this presidential jet flew directly to France, which shows that two things. It exposes two things. One, that the aircraft is available, is being used, is in good shape. Two, it dismantles that initial propaganda from MPP communicators that the aircraft cannot fly directly to Europe and that it will have to make stops. Recent as 19 July, they used this aircraft to France, the same place the president went in May, that they claimed that the presidential jet could not have taken the president there. We know that this aircraft can fly 8 to 9 hours non-stop without requiring refueling. So you have a president who just refuses to listen and to empathize with the Ghanaian people and to show good judgment and to, conduct himself in a responsible manner. This is the height of recklessness, total recklessness. You don't do this. You don't do this, especially when it's the Ghanaian taxpayers' money that you are using. I will probably not have been this angry if the president is on a holiday, private holiday, and he's using his own funds, his own savings, and he wants to live like an Arabian king and shower in the skies and watch movies. He can't even use the aircraft to Australia, to China, to a very far destination and just enjoy in the skies. Once it's his private money, really, who cares? But to do this at the expense of the Ghanaian taxpayer is when there's a presidential jet. And you know that this presidential jet, my brother, we are spending so much money maintaining it, sending it for servicing. I mean, when we were buying this presidential jet, if you read the Parliamentary Hazard, we had to train pilots, 2 mechanics in addition. We had to buy a new hangar for this jet. All these things are going waste. All these investments are not being used. That's why in my article, I even suggest that, look, if the president thinks we don't need this presidential jet, he should probably sell it, and we'll get some money, some good money, millions of dollars, to probably buy vaccines or replace the testing kits at Noguchi, which are broken down, and Noguchi scientists are crying, begging for assistance. It is the reason, Sena, I have come to a point where I am now advocating that this country needs a national presidential travel policy. Because, you see, over the years, we have trusted our presidents that when they have a presidential jet, they will use it. In 1962, when our first presidential jet arrived, the GX-125 jet, under President Nkrumah, he used it. There were no issues. When we bought our next presidential jet under Achampong, the Fokker 28, he used it. The presidents after him used it. There was no issue. President Rawlings, when he ordered the Gulfstream GII, which arrived in 1998, God bless his soul, may he rest in peace, he used it. We've never had a situation where a president has a presidential jet and refuses to use it, with the exception of President Kufuor, who, because he says that there was the purchase of Gulfstream 3 was not transparent, so he refused to use it. I think that with hindsight, it was an unfortunate decision that he made. But even that, you notice that President Kufuor flew commercial. He never chartered an aircraft, a luxury VIP aircraft. So you may want to forgive President Kufuor. But President Mills used the Falcon when it arrived. President Mahama used the Falcon when it arrived. They never complained that it was too small or it was not luxurious enough, they couldn't shower in it. We are hearing this for the first time only under President Akufo-Addo. It is totally unacceptable. Look, if you compare with other jurisdictions, Sana, if you compare with other jurisdictions, do you know that in America, for example, presidents don't have a choice. You must use the presidential jet. Now, when you are using Air Force One and you use it for other commitments which are not official, like you go for a partisan campaign, you go for a partisan fundraising event, or you attend the graduation of your children, or a party, a family party. Do you know that American presidents are asked to reimburse? They pay the taxpayer back. They calculate how much, if they had flown commercial, or how much the Air Force has spent for that trip. They calculate, they even add the food that they give, they serve them. They calculate all of that. The accommodation, the land transport, they put all of that together and they pay back. They reimburse the American taxpayer. This is the richest country, and see how they protect the public purse. See the level of respect they have for their taxpayers, and how they expect their leaders to live within their means, in some modesty and all of that. Here in Ghana, we don't seem to have a presidential travel policy, though it has not been an issue in the past. Under President Akufo-Addo, it's clear he is abusing his discretion, abusing that lack of a travel policy. And it is high time that he is called to order. It is high time that we put together, we formulate this policy and compel him to abide by the guidelines, the dictates of that policy, so that we can save money. We cannot continue to dissipate the taxpayers' funds in this manner. It is totally unacceptable. And President Akufo-Addo must be ashamed of himself for what he has put the Ghanaian people through.
Let me start from where you ended. When you say policy, it means that you're talking about something coming from the executive, I'm guessing.
Yes, it can come from the executive, but it doesn't necessarily have to start from the executive. I mean, we can put together a draft. The CSOs can put together a draft. Even we in Parliament can decide to initiate a move in that regard, because I'm not sure we can trust President Akufo-Addo, looking at his insatiable, very stubborn appetite for chartered aircraft, to really assist us in this matter. So ideally, it should start from the executive, as most policies emanate from. But it doesn't appear that you can trust the president to assist in that regard. So we can get other institutions to help us to initiate the process.
You just mentioned Parliament. So is that an indication that it is something you are personally considering, because you have led the campaign on this matter?
Yes, I can assure you that I am. Even yesterday, I was in talks with some CSOs, leaders of civil society organizations, to see how we can start working on possibly a private members bill, so that we can begin to regulate these matters. So yes, I can confirm to you that we have initiated talks in that regard.
Have you, after putting this out, had any official government response to this? Have you heard anything at all about that? Because I am yet to hear any official government response, either denying the prices or the numbers you've put out, or the fact that that jet was not used.
Sena, you know that if they had any contrary facts or any defense at all, they will have put it out by now. Since May, when we put out the first expose on the ACJ 320 Neo, there's been no pushback. They have absolutely no response, absolutely no defense, except to cover up, to come up with some rather ridiculous excuses for why they engage in such profligacy. It's the same vein. This one, they've been lip tight. You can't see them anywhere. Yesterday, one of your colleague journalists reported at the Joy Midday News that sources within the Ghibli house have told him that that's the presidential correspondent for Joy. He reported that sources have told him that the reason why they chartered an aircraft again, and that is a confirmation that, once again, I have my facts spot on, it's unimpeachable. But back to what the presidential correspondent was saying, he said sources have told him that they sent the aircraft, presidential jet, for servicing, and it arrived 24 hours to the time for travel, and the president was advised not to use the aircraft because it had arrived just 24 hours to the trip. Once again, another ridiculous excuse. It doesn't make any sense. When an aircraft arrives, even aircrafts transit or will land in the morning, and by afternoon or evening it's taking off again. There's nothing in aviation that stops an aircraft that has arrived from France a good 24 hours from flying again. And in any case, my brother, the tracking I have done, and I have all the documentation here, the aircraft returned from France on the 21st of July. The president left this country on the 27th. So it's not even true that the aircraft arrived 24 hours. He had a week since the aircraft arrived. Even when the aircraft arrived on the 21st, on the 24th, the aircraft went to Lusaka, went to Zambia, 24th. So, I mean, these are all cock and bull excuses that can't wash. I mean, they were expecting that once they switched off the flight radar and they had dismissed some people around the airport, and they were going to continue to engage in such wanton dissipation, such reckless conduct, and we won't pick it up. We will not know what they are up to, what they are doing. It's really a shame. So, my brother, don't expect any official response because, I mean, they have been caught pants down. What I expect us to do is that we must show considerable anger. Look, in this country, sometimes the hypocrisy is sickening. Imagine if it was President Mahama who had engaged in this. Just imagine for a second that this was President Mahama. He would not even have been allowed to repeat the mistake again after the May expose. But a lot of folks are pretending they haven't heard, they haven't seen, and this is our money. This 3.4 million Ghana cedis begin to reflect. Look, even the congestion in our schools, they will not be able to end double track because we say we don't have money to build dormitories, to build additional classrooms. The E-blocks that have been abandoned, imagine what 3.5 million Ghana cedis could have done in attending to all these projects. I mean, what crime have we committed to President Akufo-Addo to waste our resources in this manner?
It's interesting you responded to the issue because I also listened to the Joy FM reporter. You're saying that per your checks and even looking at the radar, what they're saying is completely not true.
Completely false. Blatant falsehood. Because the radar, which copies of which I have here, the Ghana presidential jet registered 9GEXE left for France on the 19th of July. It returned on the 21st of July. At 9:54 a.m. it returned. And then on the 24th of July, the aircraft, my radar picked it up in Lusaka, Zambia. 24th July. And then on the 27th, the president left with a chartered aircraft with this LXDIO, this Boeing 737 from Luxembourg Global Jet. So this aircraft had been busy. Indeed, whilst the president was in London on the 27th, somebody used the presidential jet to Kumasi on the 28th. So
someone used the jet to Kumasi on the 28th?
Yes, on the 28th, according to my radar. The checks that and I have all the documentation. On the 28th, the aircraft was spotted in Kumasi. So, I mean, why are they telling us these lies? Why are they telling us these lies? I mean, they should stop it. They should just stop it. I mean, it's like you show us all this respect, and then you decide to, you show us all this disrespect, you treat us with this contempt, and then you decide to add insults to all of what you are doing. I mean, please. They should credit the Ghanaian people with some modicum of intelligence.
And talking about disrespect, the closest we've had to a response has been this that has been published by Kesben Online. Kesben, they put this out, and I'm going to read it and take your response to it. This is from Director of Communications MPP Obabian Samwa. Says this, a quote: "The circulating prices of the hired jets are not accurate. I wonder why people talk like that. Should he be taking a bicycle or trotro when traveling abroad? The safety of the president is important, and we have to ensure that anytime the president travels, he will be safe and discharge his duties accordingly. The president is embarking on all these travels to ensure we rescue the nation from COVID." That's from Yabobian Sama. What's your response?
Let me expose the ridiculousness of this response. One, safety. Those of us who are asking the president to use a presidential jet care more about the safety of the president. Read all the literature. Indeed, if you take all the presidential policies across the world, presidential travel policies, they tell you in their preambles that the safest way a president or a vice president can travel is to use their presidential jet. You know why, Sena? When you use your presidential jet, you are using your own pilot, your own crew, who have gone through security checks, who have pledged allegiance to you. Their loyalty is to the state of Ghana. You can trust them. When you use a chartered aircraft, all these companies do not allow you to come with your own pilot and your own crew. So you are breaching your security. Now, these aircrafts that you charter, you don't know if there are eavesdropping equipment in there. You don't know if they have installed all kinds of surveillance equipment to listen to your phone calls, and it's happened. I mean, remember that under President Obama, they had to apologize to Angela Merkel. Apparently, the CIA had been listening into her calls and all of that. In espionage and in, international diplomacy, if you avail yourself, if you show weakness, if you don't have adequate shields and firewalls around you, your opponents, they want to know what you are thinking, what is going on. You think Ghana doesn't have enemies? They will take advantage and they'll listen in. So the safest way to travel is to use your presidential jet. So those who are claiming that they love the president more, they care more about the president's safety, and so let's allow him to be using these chartered aircrafts, they clearly don't know what they are talking about. It's another ridiculous defense. Then this claim that, do we want the president to use bicycles or trotro? I mean, look, they should treat Ghanaians with some respect. I expect better from Boabi Asamoah. You were a governance expert, and you led campaigns for prudence, frugality, and you are talking this way. We are not saying that the president should walk to Berlin. There's a presidential jet. Use it. That's all we are saying. There is a presidential jet which is in pristine condition, in mint condition. It's in great shape. Use it. That's all we are saying. Use the presidential jet. If you read aviation journals, Ghana's presidential jet is in the top 5 category. We are the envy of many a country. They want to own a presidential jet like we have. It cost us, as far back as 2008, $37.15 million. How many aircraft cost that amount of money? How many aircraft? To put it in context, I was looking at the valuation of the chartered aircraft that the president used. If you were to go buy it from the open market, they say you can buy it for about $55 million. Compare that to the $37 million. It should tell you that our aircraft is still quite competitive. So this business of wanting luxury, you see, they should stop throwing dust in our eyes. All of what the president is doing is because the presidential jet is not luxurious enough. He wants a master bedroom. He wants a shower facility. He wants a cinema room. He wants to watch movies. I mean, then if he's going to Australia, I don't know what he'll do. I don't know what kind of aircraft he will even call Boeing or Airbus to manufacture for him. This short distance, 6.5 hours. Look, if I was traveling to Techiman, the president will get to London before I get to Techiman. 6.5 hour journey. You want a master bedroom. You want a cinema room. You want a 5-star VIP dining. Abba. Why? At our expense. So Boabi Asamoah should stop it. And then the final thing he says is that they should ignore the speculative figures. So give us the accurate figures. Since May, you are dodging. Look at the embarrassing spectacle in Parliament when the finance minister, after asking for more time all these months, comes to tell us that let's go to the national security minister. That he can, when the give me system, which the finance minister controls, he could just look in the system and tell us how much they spent. He was too embarrassed to tell us because they are afraid of the public reaction. And they are ashamed.
since you are on that, because there are several of my listeners and viewers who are of the opinion that Parliament means a great opportunity. Maybe is a lack of understanding of the procedures in Parliament, which people even find even annoying, that Parliament cannot call a minister before it and insists on because there's a give me system. Everyone in Parliament knows there's a give me system. That a minister could not have said he didn't know about it. How could a minister turn up in Parliament and tell you something which you yourself know cannot stand, and yet you allow him to say whatever he wanted, and then he just leaves like that? People were wondering why. How could that happen? Why couldn't Parliament hold him to account, especially when you have a speaker which is on your side sitting there?
Well, legitimate concerns. If you watch the proceedings of that day, which I believe is still available online, we did put it to the finance minister in supplementary question that what he's saying cannot cut it. I recall that one of my supplementary questions, when you file your question, you have 3 supplementary questions. One of the supplementary questions I asked was that, look, you control the give me system. You can tell when you go into the give me system how much has been spent. And in his response, he said that, because national security people, how they even couch it, the kind of rendition they'll use, he cannot understand. I mean, he was clearly just beating around the bush. But you see, there's precedence. So that's why I don't blame the speaker when the speaker conceded to the finance minister's request that we should go to the national security minister. You see, there's precedence, and normally our rules too says that if a minister comes and says that a question that you are asking, it is another minister that has it. It's different if the minister says that, look, government doesn't have the information. Then that one, government cannot claim not to have the information. We will not accept that. But where the minister comes and says that, look, the information is with another minister, and he directs you to another minister, what has been the practice is that speakers have just granted that. So that's been the practice and the tradition. Yes, I know it can be frustrating. I know that ministers can hide under that, and because when the finance minister was asking for more time, since I filed this question on the 1st of June, when he first received the question, all he had to do was to write to Parliament and say that, Mr. Speaker, this question you have admitted is not within my domain. The answers are not with me. So let the Honorable MP redirect his question to the National Security Minister. We will not have wasted all this time and gone through all this struggle, all the rigmarole. So it's clear that this whole national security thing was an afterthought, and after extensive deliberation on how to circumvent and how to get off the accountability track, they decided to come up with this national security story. But I mean, what can you do? This is a house of rules. It's a house where you follow precedents. So once he comes and says that the response is with another minister, I don't have it. You can't blame the speaker for then saying that, okay, then we'll go after that minister rather. And to be fair to the speaker as well, when I filed the 3rd urgent question, this time directed at the National Security Minister, he immediately admitted the question. And that question is now before the National Security Minister, who, as I said earlier, was saved by the bell because of parliamentary recess. So when we return, I pledge to you that I will pursue this matter. And now I need to also add this second matter, because you see, your listeners must understand that we are doing all of this in the spirit of financial accountability, which is the responsibility of parliaments all over the world. I mean, if you go to the U.S. Congress, the chair of the House Administration Committee, Zoe Lepfrock, wrote to President Trump in 2019 demanding details of reimbursement of his presidential travels, consistent with the America's presidential travel policy, which was formulated under President Reagan in 1981. So you have other jurisdictions take their parliamentary oversight role very seriously to protect the public purse, to make sure that you don't have an executive who just comes to feed fat at taxpayer expense and just dissipate the coffers on frivolities and vanity. So we will continue to pursue these matters because these matters are germane. There are some who have said that, oh, look at cost-benefit analysis. I mean, what a ridiculous claim. Look, has Angela Merkel said that the 1.5 million vaccines that we went to beg her for? That's the irony. We go and beg and we arrive in style, in ways that even the people we are begging, they don't travel like that. Angela Merkel has been voted consistently the most modest leader in the world. She doesn't fly the way President Akufo-Addo flew to Berlin. Has Angela Merkel told us that if we had arrived with our presidential jet, we would not have received the vaccines? Is that what those who are talking about cost-benefit analysis, is that what they are saying? In any case, where is logic? If you can get more for less, is that not better than spending all this money, blowing over 3.4 million Ghana cedis, just blowing it recklessly because of a few vaccines? The vaccines you need to attain herd immunity, that 1.5 million vaccines will not. A population of 30 million, we should be thinking about vaccinating at least 22 million people. Not 1.5 million vaccines, which if they are double dose vaccines, that means what? It's just about what? 750,000 people who are going to benefit. Nowhere near what we need. So you still need money to buy vaccines on the open market. And the money that you can use to buy vaccines, you are blowing it, dashing it to private jet operators. I mean, please. So all these weak defenses don't make sense. It's just an insult to us. And they should just stop it. They should stop it. If they are also challenging the $14,000, which is the advertised amount. I mean, I'm not making this up. You can call up Luxembourg Global Jet and ask them their LXDIO, the Boeing 737, how much is it going for 1 hour at the minimum? And you see, what they forget is that I always go for the minimum. I am not adding the landing charges, the parking fees, and all of that. I haven't added all those.
And there's a part where you said if they go through an agent, the fees are different.
And if they go through an agent, which and we know that this government has notoriety for dealing with middlemen, I mean dubious middlemen and shonky sheikhs. If they followed that their notorious tradition, it means that we are paying between $18,000 and $22,000 an hour. So all the estimates I have done, I have been very charitable, very conservative. It cannot be lower than what I have done. It cannot be.
Let me end by asking you a question, because if I don't, my listeners will kill me. They are saying that you talked about the fact that people are silent and nobody is talking about this. Nobody is expressing anger. The people who typically would have expressed anger are not doing that. They are of the opinion that, yes, you know this is what happened in his first term, and so you should be anticipating it. But also you in the NDC and the minority particularly have not shown enough teeth and also steel to this government to make this government shake a little. That they do this because they do not fear you, even though you have better numbers than you had in the first term. They do not fear that. They know that you won't do anything. You have no teeth to bite. You cannot show them any grit that will make them feel you will do. Like they treat us with contempt because there's nobody to fear, and you have a good opportunity to at least scare them a little. Do you agree?
As you know, I want to respect the views of Ghanaians, particularly the listeners of Radio Gold. I mean, you are a station where only discerning people listen to you. So, I mean, I'll take this as legitimate feedback. And what it means is that we in the NDC caucus in Parliament will have to sit up if that is growing perception that we are not really fighting hard enough and dealing with this government as we ought to in the national interest, making sure that they fear the people and respect the people, so that you don't engage in such a recklessness. Is legitimate concern. I mean, indeed, there's some of us who, at one point or the other, have also shared similar views. But I do not want to believe that the die is cast or all hope is lost. Yes, we've had challenges, particularly with how the vetting of ministers went. And we have apologized. Some of us who couldn't take it, you do know that we even resigned from the appointments committee. So I would like us to put that period behind us and have confidence, have hope in the ability. Look, if you look at the caliber of persons we have in Parliament, I mean, Ghanaians have been very, very wise in the choice they made in a good deal of MPs they elected across the country, particularly those who are on the NDC side, who they expect will hold the executive accountable. They are men and women of enormous capacity and integrity. So I think that we just have to get our acts together. We've had down moments, and it's led to probably some, if you like, low morale. But that is not to say that we don't have the ability to close our ranks and to reorganize because we can't continue allowing this president, because it's just like, I mean, he doesn't care. The more you speak, the more he wants to treat you even with disdain, and he thinks he can cover up. I mean, when I see all the ridiculous, laughable schemes that they employ, trying to switch off the flight radar and all of that, thinking that I didn't have other means of detecting this obscene profligacy. I am clear in my mind that the NDC caucus can rise to the occasion. So I take it as good feedback, but please let all our listeners be assured that we are not giving back, we are not giving up at all, and that we are going to step up. We are going to step up and press the accelerator even harder and make sure that we get the president to account. As for getting him to account, making sure that he pays for all of this misjudgment, all of these indiscretions, all of this recklessness, I want to assure all your listeners, that as long as some of us remain members of the NDC caucus in Parliament, we will live up to our conscience, live up to our constitutional mandate, live up to our calling, and we will not disappoint this country.
It's nice that you talk about the caliber, because I recall it was the dean of the business school of the University of Cape Coast, someone I believe you know very well, Professor Gachi, who said that if you look at the caliber of people on your side, this may be the best gathering of human resource in Parliament he's ever seen. And so he feels that you are punching below your weight anyway. But let me end by just reading to you. This is Gabi Otridako, a tweet he made yesterday at 9:14 a.m. Ghana time. It says Ghana's president traveled to Germany for a week and returned with 1.5 million vaccines among investor-related items. But of course, the focus of those who seasonally choose to know the cost of everything but the value of little is on the cost of the flight chartered. Your response?
Total hogwash. Total hogwash. Total hogwash. He has no shame. He has no shame. Can you imagine what Gabriel Chidakun will have done if President Mahama left the presidential jet, abandoned the presidential jet, and decided to fly in such obscene luxury? It's people like Gabriel Chidakun. They have brought the president to this point. And you see, they have this mindset of entitlement. Ghana belongs to them. They can do whatever they want. And you see, they think we don't know them. Why is it that when they were campaigning in opposition, why is it that they were not using chartered aircrafts? Gabriel Chidakun, how many times did I not meet him in commercial aircrafts? The president himself, how many times did we all not meet in commercial aircrafts? They carry themselves with such pomposity, as if, they are even doing us a favor, coming to serve Ghanaians. And that we don't know the value of anything, we only know the cost of everything. Why were they not using chartered aircrafts before they came to power? I challenge them to show us one instance, just one instance, where they went for a chartered luxury aircraft for a family trip abroad. Because we give you the mandate to be president, and you promise to protect the public purse, you think it's licensed to engage in such recklessness, and you have the audacity, the effrontery to question our right to speak against this. You are raping the public purse, stealing our money. Actually, is what is going on. It's so annoying. So annoying. Why were they not using chartered aircrafts in private life? They actually even should have owned one. Why don't they own a private aircraft? The chief mafia should have owned one. If this aircraft, we shouldn't talk about the value, it's no big deal. Because what he suggests is it's no big deal. We have lost focus. Why don't they have, the family, why don't they have a luxury aircraft, the Boeing 737? Why don't they have one? Or the ACJ 320 Neo? Why haven't they had one all these years in private life when they've been trying to be president? Why don't they have one? And they are now coming to use the taxpayers' money at our expense to live like Arabian kings. Even Arabian kings will be envious the way they are living at our expense. Please, they really get on our nerves.